Okay, for the first time since Star Trek Beyond, they're going to have another movie. We'll talk about it in a second. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in this particular video, which by the way we're doing in a different location because we're about to go on vacation and the time is kind of short for us, but we wanted to get this news that have come out from Paramount Plus up as quickly as we could. And one of the things that we have found out is that despite the fact that there have been several attempts to do a fourth picture since the Kelvin universe began, we are now in the offing of producing yet another Star Trek movie. The last one being Beyond, Star Trek Beyond in 2016, which was not bad at the box office. Well, not bad in the critics, but the box office wasn't as great as they hoped for. And part of that reason has to do with the whole structure of what Star Trek is, and we'll talk about that in a second. This is not the script that was already written. This is not to do with either of the other 2 or 3 directors that have tried to work on this project, but a brand new director, Matt Shakman, who you may not know, but he was the director for WandaVision. If you saw WandaVision on Disney Plus, it was a very well done show, and it seems to me that he might, since he actually wanted to do this picture, he approached Paramount Plus to do this picture. It is something that is likely to be well done in the depth that WandaVision was done, and in the fact that he's probably a Trek follower, or else he wouldn't want to do this project at all. Trek movies have been known for being not blockbusters. Simon Pegg said in an interview not long ago that you can't expect a Star Trek film to have the box office of a Marvel film, and it's quite true. This new script, written by 2 women, Geneva Robinson-Dworet and Lindsay Beer, and we don't know what the story is about, but we do know this is the first time that a Star Trek script, movie script, has been written entirely by women. Now, we'll take certainly a single woman by the name of D.C. Fontana, who disguised her gender during the 60s when she wrote stories for the original series as D.C. Fontana, and in some places she wrote episodes that did not even credit her. But be that as it may, some of the better scripts are written by D.C. Fontana, so we have kind of high hopes for this new writing team to this film. Now, there is nothing on the books for having Chris Pine or any of the other regular characters, so we can't tell you if this is going to be in the Prime universe or the Kelvin universe. The fact is that it probably will have Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, but they can't announce it right now because of the nature of movie making. Now, when films are set up, actors are hired, and if you make an announcement saying we can't do it unless we have X actor, that X actor suddenly has a bargaining position where he can demand a whole lot more money than he might otherwise get. Now, Chris Pine is established as the new Captain Kirk in the last 3 pictures that he's made of the Star Trek genre. He's also made other pictures in which he's been a lead and has done pretty well for himself, so he can demand a pretty high paycheck. And in fact, that's what caused the last possibility of the film going down, was that he wanted more money than Paramount was willing to pay. And that is the situation that we have ourselves now, is they're not committing to who the actors are going to be for that very purpose. That way, if it turns out they can't make a deal for Chris Pine, they'll put somebody else in as Captain Kirk, or they'll use a different ship, or they'll do something. No idea what the story is about. That will probably be released in little bits and pieces later on. Also, it's not certain if this is going to be a cinematic picture, that is to say shown in theaters, or if it's going to be a movie made for Paramount Plus. There is the possibility that it would do better as a Paramount Plus offering than it would at the box office. Because frankly, if Star Trek is done right, it is not going to be a blockbuster. And there's not a movie distributor out there that does not want blockbusters. They make a few films here and there that are meant to be more artistic or more small films for a niche audience, but you can't make a science fiction film with incredible special effects and not drive up the cost. Also using actors that are all established in their roles. There's no way to make something like this cheaply, and as a result, it has to be something that is a pretty big box office in order to make it worth doing. And that's been the problem since the very beginning of Star Trek. It was a decent television program, but it cost so much to make and made so little back from the networks that even with reasonable ratings, they had to cancel it. And this is the case even with the syndicated Next Generation and DS9. They could only do it a certain number of years before it got to the point to where they couldn't afford to do it because of mostly the actors' salaries increasing to the point to where it just wasn't economically feasible to do the show. 7 years seemed to be the way that they did with Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager and so on. There's a lot to be said for making it a not really TV movie, but certainly a movie just for Paramount Plus. They already have the special effects down for doing it for streaming distribution, and it's almost as good as cinematic, but cheaper. And they would not require the same salary, the actors would not, if done for streaming direct rather than theatrical distribution. And the fact of the matter is the type of story that would be done would not have to be a lot of pyrotechnics. So perhaps you wouldn't need as many special effects if you did a real Star Trek story, which is about essentially people who are enemies that find out that they have some things in common. These are the common threads of most of the good Star Trek scripts. So it's possible that they can make something that is epic in nature, so it wouldn't be just another Star Wars disguised as Star Trek. So that's my take on this movie, and please do leave comments on this, and recall that I am going to be away for a little while, so it may take me a little while to respond to you, but I will read all of your comments and respond to them as soon as I can. So also, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It's free, and it is something that helps us continue doing what we do here. Also ring the bell so you know when the next one is coming your way. So it'll be a couple of weeks before we get back with another video, but until then, don't go far.